That's
So
pretty
basically, what
bleak.
this UN Sustainable Development Goal is about is saying that countries can borrow as much as they want to finance sustainable development spending, irrespective of actual economic conditions. So it's basically delinking what actually macroeconomic stability is from the term. I mean, it's very insane. But at the COP27 meeting, and I think also the year previously at COP26, you have Larry Fink of BlackRock saying, if we want to get serious about climate change, we have to reimagine the charters of the IMF and the World Bank. So what is he talking about? He is talking about the plan of a UN-backed organization that's related to all of this called GFANZ.
One of the biggest, most exploitative, and ridiculously expensive cons of our time is the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. According to the UN's Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the SDGs will, amongst other things, end poverty, hunger, gender, and other inequalities, and help preserve our planet through a gradual transition to affordable and clean energies. While these are very commendable ventures, it is quite unfortunate that the same people who brought us these problems have now been charged with creating a solution. But the problem is so much deeper than mere deceit. The endgame is the complete subjugation of all countries by using a debt imperialism system specially designed to bring even the strongest countries down under the weight of unbelievably crippling debts. According to renowned investigative journalist Whitney Webb, these so-called sustainable development policies do not promote sustainability in the true sense of the word. Instead, they promote a purely diabolical debt imperialism system used by the Anglo-American Empire to entrap nations. Whitney warns that these policies will only benefit the economic elite and entrench their power, as evidenced by the considerable emphasis on debt and entrapping nation-states in debt to force the adoption of SDG-related policies. The proponents of these policies are mostly the former executives of giant financial institutions. Therefore, it is no surprise that they want nations to borrow as much as possible, without any limits, to achieve the SDG agenda. The result is that countries will become completely enslaved and forever incapable of going against the wishes of this diabolical banking cabal. We will bring you clips from Whitney's interview with Robert Breedlove. Please watch, share, and like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
The series is called Sustainable Slavery. It's essentially a criticism of the SDG policies, which, the SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals, and there's 17 of them. And the 17 Sustainable Development Goals together is Agenda 2030, which is developed by the UN, along with other stakeholders, which include the World Economic Forum, which formerly teamed up with the UN for this and other related purposes in 2019. In promoting the public-private partnership model that the WEF is, they call themselves the premier promoter of that model globally, the WEF. So essentially so I'm co-writing the series with Ian Davis, who's a colleague of mine based in Britain. And we're basically trying to look at the SDGs and scrutinize them, because if you go to the UN website, for example, and you look at their Agenda 2030 webpage and all of this, you will see the Sustainable Development Goals there, and some of them sound really nice on the surface, right? End world hunger, income equality, conserve the oceans, all of this stuff. So, but it stops looking so rosy once you dig deeper. So ultimately, each of these goals, you look under them, the UN is sponsoring very specific public-private partnerships or very specific organizations to deliver those goals. Okay. And the UN is actively promoting that countries, specifically countries in the developing world, take on massive amounts of debt in order to finance this transformation of our world, as they describe it. Because ultimately, the SDGs, as described by the UN, are about transforming our world. So a major part of this is about transforming the financial system, but also really it's about transforming every aspect of our lives. From the most intimate things like family planning, how many kids you can have, all the way to, much bigger macro stuff. But the goal is to basically have every aspect of your life overhauled by the year 2030, or at least have the mechanisms to deliver that transformation in place by 2030, I guess I should say. Right. So you start to look into them. They become very uncomfortable very quickly. So the first installment in the series, we talked about the last sustainable development goal, which is number 17, and it's about delivering or creating partnerships to deliver the SDGs, or I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. So it's all about public-private partnerships and promoting. They say that all of these partnerships are the only way we can deliver things like macroeconomic stability and things like that. So they basically say, so you click beyond the short like phrase definition of the SDG, and then you'll get like a sentence or two, a slightly longer description. And so in one of those, for this one, for 17, it talks about essentially multi-stakeholder partnerships will work together to create what they call macroeconomic stability. And this is a prerequisite for implementing all of the SDGs. But as we note in the article, macroeconomic stability has been redefined by the UN. So now it doesn't mean like, full employment, stable economic growth, and low inflation. Now it means creating fiscal space. And okay, so fiscal space, even per the UN, doesn't actually like have a definition. According to like the UN Department for Economic and Social Affairs, it boils down to the estimated or projected debt sustainability gap. So you can see here that they're basically creating a word salad. There's like words within words within words, and they've redefined a lot of the words, right? So multi-stakeholder partnerships, which is like the WEF public-private partnership model, will together need to create macroeconomic stability as a prerequisite for Agenda 2030.
If there is anything the global elites and self-appointed organizations like the World Economic Forum know how to do, it's redefining words as they see fit and creating useless word salads that mean absolutely nothing. They have created an entirely new definition for economic stability and debt sustainability to supposedly make the planet better and healthier. These Wall Street bankers want all countries to borrow as much money as possible to save the planet. The more money they borrow, the better and quicker we can save the planet, and the quicker we can all be enslaved. The debt issue brings to mind a John Adams quote, "There's two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by sword, the other is by debt." Only, it's not just one country being conquered through debt, it is the entire world. According to data from various sources across the web, at least 20 countries have exceeded the dreaded 100% debt to GDP ratio. At least another 80 countries are drawing dangerously close, and countries like Greece, Japan, Italy, and the United States are so far gone, it would take nothing short of a miracle to get things back under control. Yet, we are nowhere near ending hunger and poverty or saving the planet. Here are more clips from Whitney's interview.
So ultimately, you have the World Bank, writing about SDG 17, saying openly, debt is a critical form of financing for the Sustainable Development Goals. So debt is going to be a key vehicle for essentially forcing the implementation of those SDGs. So then you start to look at old models where this essentially, where debt was used for this purpose. So what is the current system that's used to force the the global South, or, developing countries to enact policies they normally wouldn't enact, with debt, right? So it's usually the IMF and the World Bank, those particular organizations coming in and doing debt rescue packages and all of that stuff. And, in order to receive the bailout, or, the money they need to pay off their debt and not be insolvent, they have to implement these structural changes, these policy changes, right?
Right.
Yeah. So this is why, I don't know if you or people in your audience have seen it, but at the COP27 meeting, and I think also the year previously at COP26, you have Larry Fink of BlackRock saying, if we want to get serious about climate change, we have to reimagine the charters of the IMF and the World Bank. So what is he talking about? He is talking about the plan of a UN-backed organization that's related to all of this called GFANZ, which is the Global Financial Alliance for Net Zero. Larry Fink is a principal at GFANZ. The people that run GFANZ are essentially Mike Bloomberg, the billionaire, and Mark Carney, who is a former Goldman Sachs banker, former central banker for the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada. So these are the guys, running the show here. And what GFANZ put forth in its policy papers, at least one of the ones they had out last year, is that what they hope to do for the alleged purpose of reaching net zero more quickly is to reimagine the IMF and the World Bank by merging them with the private banking interests that compose GFANZ, creating a new system of global financial governance, their term, and essentially eroding national sovereignty by forcing countries to establish business environments that are friendly to the interest of GFANZ members. And a lot of these GFANZ members are developing all these different financial vehicles and organizations to supposedly deliver net zero, but ultimately what they're doing is either establishing updating the power grid, but they're going to own the power grid, for example, and things of that nature, sort of these like development projects that are framed as sustainable, but they have owners at the end of the day. And some of it is also related to, under the guise of environmentalism, what is essentially financializing the natural world. So creating a new asset class, where different parts of the natural world can essentially be sold and, treated as financial commodities. They describe the opportunity, their word, the opportunity of this by beginning to monetize what they refer to as nature's economy. So they do a side-by-side of the projected amount of assets in nature's economy versus the existing economy. And nature's economy is like 5 times bigger, right? Based on their calculations. So in my opinion, this is a way to just really much in a very significant and crazy and damaging environmentally way, expand the existing casino of our current financial system.
Wow.
By just pumping in a bunch of new, by basically just adding new assets to it to the tunes of like trillions and trillions of dollars, but it's stuff that has never before been included in the financial system. And it's really crazy. So this is stuff like rivers and lakes that used to be part of the ostensible global commons, right? So now that's going to be owned by a natural asset corporation.
Over the past year, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink has frequently touted the importance of real-world assets tokenization, a trend he says could redefine investment strategies forever. According to the multi-trillion-dollar asset management firm, RWA tokenization converts the rights of diverse assets, from bonds and equity to real estate and cultural assets, into blockchain-based digital tokens. Nothing will be spared from this depravity. Everything and anything will be fair game for Fink and his other billionaire elitists to turn into financial assets, essentially turning our entire world into an even larger casino where the house always wins. Whitney warns that they will be particularly interested in landform that holds a rich deposit of natural resources, especially metals like gold, silver, and copper. Even if such areas are protected for the purpose of conservation, Fink and his cohorts will find a way to destroy them, with the promise of offsetting the damage by planting a tree elsewhere. Very cold comfort for a planet they swear will be completely destroyed by 2050 if we don't give up our farms, vehicles, and straws. Please share your thoughts on Whitney's interview in the comments section below. If you have yet to do so, also ensure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.